It would also be cool if I could get the Musei to wear it, the big seven himself. What do you think he would wear?
Welcome back to Kampala Mode. This is a space where we talk to all our favorite fashion creatives, whether it's stylists, designers, creative directors, producers, whatever it is. And today I have a face that might not be so familiar to you, but we're going to get into his story and the story of a brand that I think is really, really amazing. So today we have Trevor Kaye. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks so much for the, I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, and also for inviting us to your space. Like, it's a beautiful, interesting space that I think is full of creativity.
Oh, you're always welcome. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
I remember we met at the Afri-Art fashion show, and it was one of those things where like different designers were coming down the runway and their clothes were like, okay. And then this one came and it was like the very last. And it was like, oh, interesting. And like with every other look that would come up, I'd be like, okay. And then the very last one was the convertible bomber into the kanzu look.
Yes.
And it literally had everyone like just floored. Everyone was like, hey, first hold on, what do you mean? Like, how? And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we need to get into this story. So Trevor, can you, I think, introduce yourself for people who do not know you or what you do?
Yes. Thank you. So my name is Trevor Simon Peter Kaye, a Ugandan/British designer. Did most of my academics in terms of design and my creative DNA in the UK. But I recently returned about a year ago to kind of find my roots and do some soul searching in terms of fashion. So yeah, that's the short of it.
Yeah. What was like your fashion background? How did you get into fashion?
My fashion background goes back years. I'm now 23 years old, but I really started doing fashion when I would say 12. Seriously, taking it seriously was 12. But I grew up in a fashion background. My mom, Tina Kato, she had a boutique. She actually ran 2 boutiques in Uganda. And growing up, I was always around clothes, mostly women's wear, but some men's wear that she was bringing from the UK, from the likes of shops such as Marks and Spencer's, and just other well-known brands. And growing up, I was inspired by her in terms of the different types of clothes. So style was kind of the blood coming through from her inspiration into me. When I moved to the UK, that's when everything really started. I attended a boarding school called Old Swinford. It was a great school. And in my GCSE year, I decided that I wanted to do something different. I was doing art, but I didn't want to do fine art. I didn't want to do sketching. I didn't want to do collage. So my art mentor at that time, my teacher was Mrs. Emily Pincher. She told me, Trevor, I always see you wearing the latest clothes and all the boys and girls coming to you, to buy, the newest Yeezys or, buy Off-White, which were the most popular brands at that time. She said, why don't you do clothes? I was like, whoa, I've never considered that. I've always liked clothes, but I've never truly considered it. So from that, I decided to start a project which I called Data Original. And Data Original was kind of a rebellious brand that was, I started with my friends, Malachi Holmes Burrell and some of my other boys at school. And while I wasn't that strong at really drawing or sketching designs at that time, I was able to articulate and formulate my ideas in my head and write them down in a formal way, but I couldn't design. So when my friend Malachi came in, he could design and, I could have a good rough sketch, but he would turn it into Photoshop, into good and accurate artwork. From that, we started to make t-shirts and hoodies, and I sold in school until it got quite popular in my area where I lived, which was Birmingham. And once it started to move a lot, my headmaster actually had to call me into the office because we were selling in school and it was becoming a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, yo, everyone, at 5 p.m. Friday, I'm selling 30 pieces.
Right.
And people would line up, like loads of people would come through. So after getting a lot of, attention and also kind of too much trouble in school,
Yeah.
I disrupted too much to the point that they told me, yo, you're going to have to sell it outside of school. So what I did, stepped out of the gate, just literally outside, sold it, and came back in.
Yeah.
So it kind of looked illegitimate, but it was, it was just fashion.
Yeah.
Once I finished that, it was much more quicker. A-level, I still did the same in fashion in terms of my fine art that I was doing at school. But I then came to, finishing A-levels and I had to decide what I wanted to do. And from there, I decided that I wanted to do fashion, real fashion, not, just quick, printing on T-shirts and, hoodies. I wanted to do something that was more formal and more strict. So during my GCSEs and A-levels, I wanted to go to Japan because I'd always had a connection to Japan. Once I, started learning the language, I could read and write, I could speak to a good enough point. I told myself, okay, now let's apply for universities. So I applied for a Japanese university called Bunka Fashion College.
Okay.
I prepared to move, start a whole new life in Japan. But then 2019 into 2020 happened and COVID took over.
Yeah.
So with that happening, I had to completely change my plans. I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna have to go to the UK or Paris. America wasn't on my agenda. So with that happening, I was like, okay, cool, we can focus, we can go UK. And my mum was like, what's the best university? I was like, oh, that's, of course, being fashion centric and I love it. I was like, oh, it's Central St. Martin's, which was in London. And she's like, okay, then apply to the best one. I was like, Mum, I know you love me, I know you think the world of me, but Central St. Martin's is for the big boys. Alexander McQueen's gone there.
Right.
Donatella Versace, is showcased there. Kanye, Virgil, Stella McCartney, all the big names have come through. Central St. Martin's is creating incredible designers, but I don't think I'm at that pedigree. So I felt I lacked the confidence. So I was like, okay, let me apply for a foundation diploma and see if I can get that, even though it was already too difficult. I applied, and within 3 weeks, I was accepted. I was completely, amazed that I even had the opportunity. I did 4 courses while I was there. I got my diplomas. I was tutored under the Fashion Folio program through my mentor, rest in peace, Patrick Lee Yao. And he taught me how to create my DNA and my signature. We call it a signature at Central St. Martin's, and that's how, you formally articulate and create ideas from the conception to, the sampling, to then the final production and then the showcase.
Yeah.
So through Central St. Martin's, I created that signature, and that's, after that, finishing the university, near the end of it, I got unfortunately ill. So my mom was like, okay, London's not exactly the best in terms of, opportunities. It's, oversaturated, lots of people trying to do fashion. Why don't you go do something else, somewhere else? It can be Japan now that, COVID's done. It can be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, let me go back to Uganda for a bit. Let me see what's happening. Let me get some vitamin D, some sunlight, and some real food, some atoke, some posho, the good real food. Once I got back here, I met with my cousin, who I now work with, and another artist you might know called JPC again. And we came together and we created the House of Obremi.
Yes.
And from a House of Obremi a year later, ORM, which was an acronym out of Obremi, and also the acronym of all the creators' nicknames, we created ORM. And this is where we find ourselves now.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack, sorry.
Yes, there is a lot to unpack. I kind of want to know what made you very interested in the Japanese culture.
The
Is
Japanese
it anime
culture.
or
Oh, you've
I
got
don't
me.
know.
You've got me. You've got me. I
Yeah.
can't even argue.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it happened. I'll show in the story as much as I can, but growing up, I loved cartoons. Scooby-Doo, Superman, Ben 10, all of them. Cartoon Network. As soon as I finished school, I'll be the first one in the TV. I'll be there right there
Right.
by the TV watching. But when I was around 6 years old, my mum randomly brought a disc. You know how, you'd go to the shop, you'd have the plastic bag and then a CD with a piece of paper inside. She brought in, she told me, Trevor, I'm going to bring you Superman. I'm going to bring you Superman. I got excited. I waited, finished school. Mum comes through the door and gives me a disc. What I saw wasn't Superman. It was, it was this guy, is this cartoon character with long hair, blonde hair, and, it was a man, heavily muscular and, in an action scene. I was like, Mom, this isn't Superman. I said, Trevor, calm down. Calm down. Just watch it. Give it a moment. You might like it. I watched it until it became almost religious. I loved it. I fell in love. Later on, after I started to learn the language, I found out it was Dragon Ball GT, which was a shonen fighting, action-based anime. And from then, after I moved to the UK when I was 6, I formally started learning Japanese. I watched more anime. I made Japanese friends. And, now it's something that I'm trying to find ways to collaborate with Japanese designers as well. And yeah,
and
that's
I
the story.
I also see like the thread of like the Japanese influence in the clothes, especially the streetwear, because it's very streetwear heavy, and they have that kind of utilitarian vibe going on, which I see with your brand as well. So that kind of makes sense.
Thank you.
I want to know more about your time at the fashion school.
A fashion school. So, as I finished my last year of A level. Once I finished my last year of A level, I went and I did a short online course with Centre St. Martin's, and that was in London. It was online. I was doing it from the comfort of my home. It was the beginner's designer course, and this was really for me just to test whether I thought that the fashion design space was for me. You can be good at making ideas, but it doesn't mean you can be a good designer. That's why, there's people like artistic and creative directors. But, these different titles do actually have true meanings. So I took this short course at Centre St. Martin's. I forgot her name now, but she was a female designer. She taught us, the general basics, how to sketch, the general sketching, the different terms, and through that, my foundation and my belief in doing fashion was solidified. So, it was about 30 of us. We had 6 weeks long, I think. Yeah, it was 6 weeks long, and we sketched, we painted, we, sat down and tried and found concepts that we could then directly turn into clothes. I've still even got the artwork that I did at the beginning, and it's changed so much since then. But after I did that beginner course, it solidified my confidence to go ahead and do it. And when my mum said, apply, just apply. You never know, you might win, you might lose, but at least you tried. And that's one of the things I love and respect about my mum. She's headstrong.
Yeah, and also the fact that she was very supportive about your creative endeavors. I think most people are used to the trope of like the African parent who wants you to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, something that they feel is very tangible.
Yeah.
But she was so on board with it. Was it because she had also been in the fashion business herself, or what was?
I think it was a multitude of different things. Yes, fashion, having a few fashion boutiques in that time, it was. Interestingly, my auntie was also a model. She started off with the Jorams, those people early on, and
What's your auntie's name?
Imi Moya. I'll show you a contact later. Okay. But she used to be a model. She did well with that. Did some presenting, and my mom also then went into, the fashion business in terms of boutiques. She would go between the UK and Uganda and bring back clothes because she wanted things that were real, authentic, and good quality. Right. So she brought those things, and she, started her own community that was, by invite. So, if you're part of it, you'd invite someone else, and it wasn't always a walk-in. We did have walk-ins, but it was, it felt special. But with my mum, like you said, how she inspired me was, one, she did business admin at, I think she did it at, what was it? Entebbe, what's it called? What's the university in Entebbe?
There's
Yeah, it's in Kumba.
Okay.
So she did business administration at Nkumba. Once she did that, she then went on to use it in her business, and she ran it for more than 10 years until she had my younger sister, and also she had to look after me when she was in the UK. So she couldn't give her full focus. But once she shut that shop, those two shops, sorry, it was heartbreaking for her because she had always wanted to turn it into, kind of like a big, chain of different shops. But
Right.
because of not having the focus and having to go between two countries on a regular basis, and then suddenly stopping to look after her kids, she stopped. And when she saw me fall into the fashion space, she's like, yes, I'll just use you as my I'll use you as my proxy. So as well as doing it for myself and also trying to uplift Uganda and elevate Uganda, it's also doing it for my mum,
Right.
because it's something that she didn't get to fully fulfill. So I'm doing it in her, in her stead. Yeah.
Who are some of your biggest fashion icons? Because I mean, I don't know if it's just streetwear or fashion in general.
I love fashion in general, and I try and use some of these. I would say the essence of these designers.
Yeah.
If you actually look to your right, you can't see it perfectly here, but the little laminated picture over there is of Virgil Abloh. Virgil Abloh is someone that I have a lot of respect for. Rest in peace. Him setting up streetwear to kind of diverge and fit into, kind of intermarry with the luxury space.
Yeah.
What he did, with
With Louis
Vuitton and Off-White to begin with, and also Pyrex Vision.
Yeah.
In terms of his lane and his path that he's chose, is something that I truly try and hope to emulate. In the space of 13 years, or even actually no, less than 13 years, he went from doing an art project and getting Ralph Lauren, was it Ralph Lauren? Yeah, it was Ralph Lauren t-shirts, printing on the back of them, and then starting that. He got backlash for that, so he was like, okay, let me stop, let me think, let me regroup. And then he found some, factories in Italy. He had the right connections, and one of the things I think you'll know is fashion is all about connections as well.
Yeah.
So through Kanye and all the people he knew, he started Off-White, and from Off-White, he built a community, a strong brand, and Off-White then led him to Louis Vuitton and to become the first African or slash Ghanaian designer to head a house of that size. So in terms of his design, his aesthetic, and his color blocking, he's a favorite. Apart from him, I've got some Japanese designers such as, I don't know if you've heard of Yohji Yamamoto.
Yes, I have.
He's one of my favorite designers. His silhouettes and the cut of his clothes are incredible. And, the use of black and grays. I've never seen someone use such dull colors but make them so beautiful.
Yeah.
They really do come alive, I agree. And apart from Virgil, Yohji, I also do a lot of music. I'm inspired by a lot of music. So Kanye West is a major, in terms of his puffers. You might see in some of the puffers and some of the pieces I do.
Yeah.
I do try and channel Kanye's essence. So those are my big three: Kanye, Yohji, and Virgil. But there's loads more. Rei Kawakubo in Japan. We've got Heron Preston, also great, and Samuel Ross. He does A Cold Wall, a London-based business. Recently stepped down, I'm pretty sure. But I try and find black creatives to not necessarily completely emulate, but take inspiration from. And I think what fashion's about is obviously try and find something organic, and that's what I've tried to do with the cultural stuff. Getting the bar cloth, and putting a bit of technology here, then also adding streetwear into it, because we've had people that have worked with bar cloth. Bar cloth is not new; it's almost probably 800, loads of years old.
Yeah.
But we've had people do incredible things with it, but haven't gone through this streetwear path. One of my major inspirations, sorry, I haven't even said, was Jose Hendo.
Yes.
Interestingly, she went to my sistering school. So she went to LCF, London College Fashion. I went to Central St. Martin's, and it's part of the UAL group. So we were both our separate universities are all intertwined.
Yeah.
So Jose Hendo, with her dresses, with the use of bar cloth and her movement towards sustainability and trying to push Uganda and our bar cloth. It when I saw the British Council, I got inspired and it pushed me towards this space as well. She was one of
Yeah.
my inspirations. Thank you.
Oh, okay. If there was, okay, before I ask the next question, what do you think about Pharrell taking over Louis Vuitton?
Pharrell. Pharrell is, to me personally, he is an incredible collaborator. He is the best person that, if I wanted to do a collaboration with brands that you wouldn't, necessarily put together. Let's say I wanted to. Have you ever heard of Heinz beans? It's a type of beans.
Yeah, I know the ketchup one.
Yeah, so they do beans as well, ketchup.
Uh-huh.
I would say Heinz, let's say, and let's think of something. Balenciaga.
Right.
I would bet that Pharrell could make it work.
Right.
He's good at bringing loads of creatives together, similar to Kanye, and just making something great.
Yeah.
He's good at styling, and I think collaboration and styling, that's what I have the most respect for him. So that's where I would say, in terms of my opinion. As a designer, I can't say too much yet. In terms of design, I'm talking about something that's more wordy and more detailed and a lot more expressive. The likes of Rei Kawakubo, Yohji Yamamoto. That's what my design means.
Yeah.
For him, he makes great streetwear. If we're looking at, we're looking at Billionaire Boys Club. If we're looking at Ice Cream, those are kind of the type of pieces I'm doing, the everyday wear.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about true couture design,
Yeah.
with his movement with Louis Vuitton so far, his direction, he's moving towards where I can truly, for me, as my definition of designer, he's moving towards that.
Okay.
But currently,
Yeah.
to me, he's a great collaborator and a great, stylist.
Okay. That was a very diplomatic way of putting it.
I mean, what's your opinion?
I mean, okay, it's not about how I particularly see it, but there's been a lot of critique about whether he can step up to the plate, and also the fact that he might be just, taking what Virgil had already built and like building on that rather than bringing his own vibe to Louis Vuitton and, kind of creating something that's new, because it's about who he is rather than someone else, another designer.
I completely agree, but to a certain extent, that's what fashion is about, in my opinion, because looking at, all the other designers before, Virgil, we had Marc Jacobs at one point, we had, I think what's his name? Something Boy, I forgot his name. But we've had a few designers that have gone through that. And the whole point of a DNA, I feel, and the meaning and motif behind a brand is to get the DNA and slowly recycle it, yes, but bring another creative to put a twist on it. I wouldn't completely say that Pharrell and Virgil are exactly the same. I don't think he might have used some of his leftover designs.
Yes, that's exactly
but
what I mean.
But I feel that Pharrell, I can look at the 2018 to 2022 and 2018 and 2021 and say that that's Virgil. His use of graphics, his use of cut, you can know when it was him.
Yes.
Pharrell, it's more skinnier, it's more long.
Right.
So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, Pharrell definitely has had. It was unfortunate on him. He definitely had some big shoes to fill after Virgil. And would I say that he was the best decision after? I was surprised when I heard it was Pharrell. I was like, "Ooh, that's a curveball."
Yeah.
So I think give him another 2 years, then we can get our pitchforks, our and start looking for him.
Right.
But it's too early.
I mean, we've given him quite some time.
How many years has it been though?
Hasn't it been 3 now?
I would say 2 years more. Once hit that 5-year limit, that's when we can crucify him if we need to.
Okay. Let me ask, if you could swap closets with anyone,
closets.
Any celebrity,
Yeah,
who would it be?
it won't surprise you. It would most likely be Kanye. It would most likely be
His
Kanye.
current stuff?
His current stuff? No, not necessarily. He's got an archive. I don't know if you've seen any of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians. He's got a huge loft of different things.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2016 to 2022.
Yeah.
Just when he got to Gap, before the Gap deal broke down and the Adidas deal broke down. But if that's a style, that's for me every day. I'll choose Kanye. If I wanted something with some more bezazzle and more energy, I would most likely go with Yoji. It's just that mature feel, that sleekness, that cut. It's completely taken my heart. So if I'm going to an event and I need to be smart, Yoji. If I'm going every day with the boys, having fun, just casual, Kanye. 2016 to 2021 Kanye.
Okay. Are there any Ugandan fashion, I don't know if we should say icons, fashionistas, stylists, people who just dress up that you like, that catch your eye?
Interesting. I've only been following the Uganda space for maybe 2-3 years, so I'm a bit biased, and also it's not completely fair, but I will give you my honest opinion.
Yeah.
There's someone called, in terms of styling, I've got a lot of respect for someone that's a bit, I don't know if you can call him underground, but I don't think he gets enough rep. His name is Q Senior. He's up there, matching there just down the road, not far from us. I went to see him a while ago, actually my first year, and saw his Instagram. He's someone that kind of breaks boundaries. For me, my nickname being Rebel, Toreba, I like rebellious fashion that doesn't usually fit the mold. He's someone that I have a lot of respect for as a stylist and, someone that dresses up.
Yeah.
Fik for Maker as an artist, he's got some good style. Respect him. It's something that's a bit of a Marmite, and if you don't know what Marmite is, some people like it, some people don't. Chameleon is cool as well, but I think that to a certain extent, he needs to step back a bit more because, it's catching up on him in terms of age. But he's a great looking at his time back, he's always been fashion forward, so I have a lot of respect for him as a musician as well. But, and I don't know if this is going away from your question, but there is some strong fashion designers here as well. When I did my little market research, maybe we'll discuss them as we go along, but those are my few. Q Senior. JPC again, he's good as well. Does some good styling. We help him with also some of his styling. So maybe it's a bit biased. But the Sheila Gashumba's good. The girls from the Blues Threes, they're good as well. They do some good stuff. There's loads of good stylists in Uganda, but some of them I think are Pinterest fiends. They run to Pinterest and Instagram. So if we can get Uganda to be more expressive and themselves and not looking at what trends are happening here and rather creating trends and get the other people to follow our trends, I think it will be better. That's it.
Okay. Tell me more about your brand, about ORM.
Where do I start?
We figured out how you decided to start the brand. What is it? What is ORM?
What is ORM? ORM has a Ugandan name, with the O, R, and the M. It will soon be disclosed in a short film that we'll be producing coming up. But the ORM we've been seeing at the showcases isn't what you should be expecting moving forward. The ORM we showcased was a bit more couture based. It was more expressive and more loud. But we're going to be breaking ORM moving forward into two different things, two different sections. My plan for ORM and moving forward with the Wabudi Johnny and Jaula is to make it more usable, stronger, and kind of a staple to be used in Uganda. I'm expecting other brands to use bar cloth. I want to push them to use bar cloth, just like Jose's inspired me. But like I said, to answer your question, when it comes to ORM, our aims are going to be one, sustainability and community impact. With this brand, I hope to create a community of people that love fashion, you know, massive fashion-centric individuals, and also people that, you know, every day just want a t-shirt to just, you know, wear casually. Hence why I made the Waburijo and the Yanjaula. The next thing, apart from obviously the sustainability and the community, is my aim to integrate technology. I'm using NFC technology, chips, and thermochromic and fabrics that, you know, can react depending on the skin contact, whether it's, you know, the heat or moisture. I'm working with that, stuff like that.
You've said quite a number of things that I don't know if everyone watching might know what they are. First, start with the NFC. What's that?
NFC is a type of technology that works with Bluetooth.
Right.
So it's used in the likes of your credit cards. So if you use contactless when you get the card and you tap it on you know, to pay, that's NFC technology. So it's the same with a SIM card. It uses NFC technology, and among other things,
so
it's used like that.
How would you integrate it into fashion?
So how it would work is you have yourself a phone and you have yourself an NFC tab. These NFC tabs will be used on all our clothes moving forward. So I spoke with the manufacturer and they made one specifically to fit my, you know, my needs. So it will be smaller, but this is a, you know, massive sample. Would put onto each and every piece. So once you have this on your piece, when you buy a piece from ORM, we put your details onto that NFC tab. Your name, what color that item was, when you bought it, how much it costed, just any type of information that we deem valuable to have on that piece. This will help us stop counterfeits for our brand in terms of the future, and also it will make the customer feel closer to their clothes, right? So with this NFC technology, it will be important that, you know, the customer feels that it's safe with them, and also they have that connection to it. That's it.
Okay, interesting. And what other kinds of technology?
So we also are going to use reactive fabrics. And what reactive fabrics are fabrics that when they come into contact with a substance, they can change color. It's not a completely new technology, but it's technology that I haven't seen used in Uganda through my market research. And also it's something that I think can be used in small details to make it more impactful. There's things such as thermochromic, which react to the heat of your skin. So let's say it's a black fabric. When it comes in contact with your skin, it might turn purple because that heat has exposed it and made it react, hence why it's called reactive fabrics. You've got UV, which is ultraviolet, and that's from the sun. We've got a fabric that we've been recently working with, and once the sun touches that fabric, it changes color. So that's reactive fabrics that we're working with.
Okay. So, you are looking to integrate more of those
technology.
How soon can we
expect? Well, it depends. Right now, it's more the export problem, just getting things in time. I'm hoping that December we have is our D-Day in terms of getting everything done. So if we can get all the fabrics in and get everything sorted in terms of the printing, unfortunately, we try our best to use as much of our Ugandan base to make all our pieces, but some of the things such as, you know, DTG, there's some types of printing that we can't do here. So we may or may not have to either buy the machinery that we can bring here, or, you know, send it to the UK or wherever we need to send it to. So there's that aspect, but hopefully December is our aim.
Okay. So take me through the design process for maybe a piece that is from the Wanjaulo collection
piece.
Or something like that.
So when it comes to my design philosophy and how I create my designs, it's very step-by-step based. I don't randomly say I want a red hoodie and I'm going to put Kabi and then I'm done. I used my three conceptualization stages, which are: one, I could either go for imagery, that's looking at pictures, looking at things around me for inspiration, where I'm like, okay, I like that camera. How can I turn that camera into a shirt? If it's possible, I then move on to the next stage. Imagery is one. The next is vocal and music. Sometimes, and what my partner, Senko, my co-founder for ORM, we sit down and, like I said, I love music. I also produce music using different Logic and FL Studio. So I might create a song for a show, and I'm like, okay, this is the sound I'm going for.
Yeah.
We sit down, we listen to the music, and while we listen to it, we draw, we sketch. However the notes, the beat makes us feel,
Yeah.
we then, translate that onto a piece of paper. I am not a sketcher. My co-founder is a better sketcher than me. I don't like sketching a lot, so I use Photoshop a lot. Photoshop meaning, I've got templates that I've pre-designed, for different, a t-shirt, a shirt, a jacket. So there's vocal, there's imagery, and then the final one I won't tell you because that one is my secret sauce and I keep it to myself.
Okay.
So once I've got the concept, I then go into a sampling phase. That's getting the design, choosing the fabrics. I'm like, okay, so I now know that I want to make a t-shirt that looks like a camera. I'm going to use a cotton base, and then I'm going to use a PVC plastic to kind of describe the lens, to speak that language of the lens. So then I start looking at fabrics. Okay, so this cotton's good, but no, it's weak when it comes to using almost, so it might fade. Let's not use that fabric. Let's use this fabric. It's stronger, it's resilient. Cool, we've got one fabric. Now I need this PVC for, to kind of describe the lens.
Yeah.
So I put it on, I'm like, okay, this PVC is too light, too much. And it also helps for me, like I said, I've got a library of 5,000 fabrics. So I always go through and make sure that I use different fabrics that will match and fit that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Backtracking a little bit, so once I've chosen whether imagery, vocal, or my last third one, I write down a lot. I would say that if I don't write down 5 pages of detail, I'm not happy.
Right.
Because one of the things my mentor, Patrick Liao, told me and taught me is don't do something without a reason. If you do a design just randomly, it has no substance, it has no essence.
Right.
And by essence, I mean it doesn't have a meaning that people can link to. People are going to more likely link to ORM because it has bar cloth, because it uses Ugandan motifs.
Yeah.
So it has something that can pull them towards it.
Yeah.
So I'm not just saying, oh, let me use bar cloth for the sake of it.
Right.
I'm using bar cloth because there's a meaning and there's a magnet that could potentially bring customers and interest to it. So once I've done the details, the 5 pages, I then choose the fabric. Once I've chosen the fabric, I then make a sample. I don't make one sample, I make 3.
Right.
The first sample, the second, and the third. But I try and space it down to a week. Because I feel as my tailors and myself, as we make more pieces, we start to see, oh, this is the defect here.
Right.
How can we improve to the next one?
Yeah.
We sit down as a team. We have a team of around 6 people. 3 tailors, myself, my co-founder, and one of our stylists. We sit down and we look at the sample and we're like, okay, this is good, this is bad. Then we vote.
Yeah.
Should we continue on to the next phase? We make another sample. We
Yeah.
do the same thing, and then the third. So through that system, we
Yes.
cut off the little different, niblets or things that aren't good.
Right. So that by the time you're done, you've come up with this piece that's solid.
Yeah. So once we finish the, sampling, we then go into the real production. We use something called a tech pack, and a tech pack is something that it's an A4 sheet. And with that A4 sheet, we write down the colors, the fabrics, just the details that if we're given to a tailor, they can easily understand it. That's why I do that 5-page essay, so that once I get that 5-page essay, I can make it more concise and shorter, so that anyone can understand it.
Right.
Production starts. We make that final sample. Then we go into the marketing and the piping and the creation.
Yeah.
That's the basic system.
Can I ask, how is the Ugandan market different from the UK market? Have you seen clear differences?
Yes, I have. It's a major difference in terms of detail and what they want. A customer in the UK is definitely focused on price. They do care about the price, but the story, the quality, those two trump the price to a certain extent. In Uganda, they want something that's economic, but quality, which is kind of oil and water. Sometimes they can mix, but sometimes they can't.
Yeah.
It's hard. But I think my Ugandan market is more vocal.
Okay.
If they don't like something, they will say it. And they're more intrusive, and intrusive positively in terms of like, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? The UK, they just want quality, and they make sure that you get it on time, that it's as promised. Sometimes Uganda, I don't know if you've experienced it, you might look at a lovely picture on a menu and it's not exactly what you expect. And that's my metaphor in terms of, in Uganda, it's not exact, what you ask for isn't exactly what you expect. But both markets have their own benefits and negatives as anything in business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You said that the Ugandan market is very vocal. Is there a piece of feedback you've received that like kind of stands out for you?
There's been a lot of different feedback because that's something that I do whenever I finish a show, whenever a customer sees a piece. I ask them, what do you like? I don't even ask them what do you like. I say, what don't you like?
Right.
Like, why are you using bar cloth? Well, that's the whole point of the brand. It's got, negative connotations, or, it's used to bury dead people. People are scared of it. So it's been trying to get people to get out of that mindset that it can only be used to, bury dead bodies. But I would say the best feedback I've got was, don't overcomplicate it for the general market. To a certain extent, it's one of the reasons I made Yanjaulo and Mwabudi Joe, because Yanjaulo is going to be more focused to international markets, people that want quality, want a story, want something very heavily detailed. I'll show you some examples when we finish. And Mwabudi Joe is what I think would fit the Ugandan market. It's more economic in price. It's got the culture, it's got the feeling. It's one of the things I'm doing with Mwabudi Joe is using Ugandan words. My hope and dream is to see, people outside of Uganda wearing pieces that have Ugandan motifs, Ugandan words and sentences. Because I wouldn't say completely sick and tired, but I'm kind of, bored of seeing English words. Why don't you have, Yakabi at the back of a shirt while, a Spanish lad or a Spanish person walking and have Yakabi on the back? We had brands such as Heron Preston that have used Russian, and people have interested in that. So I'm like, hopefully there's a space for other people outside of Uganda to wear Ugandan motifs and words. So yeah.
Okay. You've told me a little bit about some of your mentors and kind of what the advice they gave you. But is there one piece of advice that has been most impactful in your journey overall that you just keep coming back to?
Yes, I have. And it actually perfectly fits our previous conversation. Listen to advice, but don't completely enact it. If a customer comes and tells me, Trevor, I don't like red, I won't stop making red, but I'll say, if one person comes, that's okay. If 2 people come, start to wonder. If 20 people come, depending on the units of people that come to voice a certain opinion, that's when I think that you should consider, adapting your product. So one of the things one of my, like I said, mentors said was, advice is good to be listened to, but don't just change your aesthetic and your entire DNA to fit there. So then you're just a tailor and they're the designer. As a designer, you should always put your foot down. Don't be disrespectful, no. Listen, hear them out, but don't completely enact out exactly what they say. Get their idea, get their advice or their opinion, note it, have it around you, keep it around you, but don't do exactly what they tell you, unless it's a customer and it's a suit. Obviously follow them, but if it's your own brand such as ORM, listen, take what you think is useful from it, then do what you think is the right thing to do.
Okay. And what would you say have been the biggest challenges that you faced? Let's narrow it down and say in the Ugandan market.
In the Ugandan market, it's the workforce, quality, assurance, and communication. I'll make this as concise as possible. So, by workforce I mean the people that you work with. In my time in Uganda, I've had 6 different tailors. I've gone through 6 different tailors until I found the right one. Because tailors are very proud, which is a good thing, but sometimes pride and arrogance can trump working with someone, and that can lead to separate ways. So the workforce has been something that I've struggled with. I've had to look, and I found the right people to work with. So that's been a struggle. Then we go on to quality assurance. What I view as quality won't be exactly the same opinion. And that's something that I've had to learn, because when it comes to British products, we've got so many rules and legislations and things and laws that they have to follow, so that everything is to a certain standard. If it's subpar, that company's in trouble, and it doesn't even enter the country. But here, quality is whoever makes it. Uganda is a young and developing market, and hence why I came here. That's one of the things, because I've got space to come and explore. But that's one of its negatives, because we're so young, our quality isn't at the level that it can be compared to other countries. I'm not saying we're the worst, no.
I understand what
But
you mean.
we need to up our game. And the final one, you know what, let me leave that one.
Okay. What would you say is your favorite part of the creative process? Is it seeing like the final product? Is it the initial sketching? Is it pulling the idea from the inspiration? What part of it do you love most?
It's something that I share with my co-founder, actually. It's the process, and that's so vague, I know, but in a concise way to say, it's seeing something that you tangibly conceptualize in your head and then finally seeing it in real life. And for me, one of the things that I need, and is something that's a genuine focus for me, is, does the item I produced on the computer, on my Photoshop, look like the final piece? If it doesn't, then it's back to the drawing board. But I've been fortunate enough to have a good tailoring team that can translate my designs into the final product. So it's so satisfying to see that item I envision finally come into a space, into a tangible thing I can hold, feel, wear, and dress up in. So yeah, it's a process. Seeing the finishing part from the beginning to the finish. It's the whole process. I love it.
Who would you like to see wearing your clothes?
Wow.
Let's start with Uganda.
Uganda? No. I've approached, and I'm going to be approaching more people. Currently, if we're starting from a low start, I want to see if I can. I would like to see if I can get one of the royal family of Uganda to wear it.
Interesting.
Because it's bark cloth, it's the Buganda feel, and I'm going to be making more Buganda-centric pieces. As well as making the T-shirts and I want to make some pieces that shout, "We are Buganda." And one of the things I want to clarify, ORM is not going to only be a brand that focuses on Ugandan culture. I've set up a few meetings going forward. In December, I'll be going to UK to showcase. So I'm hoping to work with some UK designers. I'm planning to also go to Japan next year. So I'm hoping, and I've been making some friends that are designers in Japan, and I'm hoping to, collaborate with them. So let's say getting a kimono and using bar cloth, getting other traditional wares and putting some, kind of intermarrying them together.
Yes.
That's what I want ORM to be, a collaborative brand that brings different cultures together to create something new and organic.
Yeah.
So the royal family, it would also be cool if I could get the Musei to wear it, the big seven himself. What do you think he would wear? I don't think it's his side, but maybe the Kanzu bomber. I think it's Ugandan enough. It's Uganda enough, and it's quiet and calm enough to get on his side. Maybe if he wanted to, take off a bit of bar cloth, we could do that. But I think Museveni would look absolutely, uniformed in it. He could definitely rock it.
See it. That's a very interesting group of people that you have chosen as. Because I was expecting you to be like, like a brand or this designer, that fashionista.
I think yes, it's good to have influences, but I don't currently have enough influences in the fashion space that I think, reach my aesthetic. Yes, it's something that's always aimed to have, the famous, the celebrities wearing clothes. But for me, my approach is for people that genuinely have influence in a country, because those guys can push my brand further.
Yeah.
If Museveni wore a piece, it would
be crazy.
It would say, it would be almost a, a shout out. It would be a, something that's of significance. Also, the king himself or the royal family, Uganda, or even any of the other kingdoms, to rock one of our pieces would reach a huge group of people. And I don't want just the youth wearing my pieces. I want to see, I want to see Musei over there wearing it. I want to see Abakadenga, they're also wearing the pieces, because the aim of ORM is to be a brand for the community, regardless if you're 5 years old, regardless if you're 105 years old. It's all about making sure that they feel comfortable, whether they're wearing the bomber, whether they're wearing something light, male, female, whatever. That's my aim, to be as exclusive, all-inclusive as is possible.
Yeah, okay. I think we can wrap it up there. I do want to get into the nitty-gritty of some of the pieces, but thank you for
Thank you so
time
much.
and
Appreciate it.
lovely conversation.
Thank you.